Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Three. They've been around basketball from the Big Dipper to the Greek Freak, from Russell's Celtics to Curry's Warriors, from Peach Baskets to Paolo Banchero. Here are Whitey Gleason, Phantom, and Jerry Reynolds.
Yes, that was that cat, all right.
Welcome back to the Old-Fashioned Three. Thought of you guys last night watching the Blazers because the great Kevin Calabro, somebody scored for Portland and was fouled. And they said, that's an old-fashioned three-pointer.
There you go.
Yeah. Kevin Michael Whitey Gleason, Alejandro Kirk, catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Hola.
You got a Blue Jay hat on today, right?
Yes, I do.
And the great Jerry Reynolds. You must have people all the time, Jerry. Must be hard to go out, say,
Yeah.
to the grocery
sure.
store without people just, Jerry, what'd you think of this? Jerry, love you. That must happen all the time.
All the time.
Not so much, no.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
As I was telling you driving over, it's always funny because, I mean, that's one of the advantages of not working for the Kings for the last several years is that you don't have people, you know, want to talk
Yeah, you're
Kings.
not mobbed like you used
Which
to
is
be.
nice,
I
but
was,
it can
I
be-
was
yeah,
never
yeah.
mobbed.
Of
but,
course, you know, that
but
get-
people would
sure.
want to visit and things like that. But anyway, just to check, my wife and Upper Tahoe this last week or so, or several days, and I went to the grocery store, which I like to do, by the way.
Sure.
And
Sure, who doesn't?
And checking out, and I wear a little Kings cap, says Kings, and the checkout guy said, "Oh, you a Kings fan?" I said, "Well, most of the time." I didn't want to lie.
Most of the time.
And he said, "Oh, me too." He said, "I've been following them for over 20 years." And he said, "I just never miss a game." I said,
Oh, man. That's great.
really? You really follow them? Watch a lot of TV?" "Oh, yeah." So I didn't say anything more. I like I said, I haven't thought about it. I should have said, "What do you think of those announcers anyway?"
Well,
Yeah.
you obviously didn't make much of an impression on him.
Well, I don't
If
know.
you followed him for 20 years,
Isn't
then you're
it-
standing right there.
Isn't it possible, Alejandro, that the guy was like, I think that's Jerry Reynolds, but I don't know, so
No.
I'm going to leave it
No.
out there like,
No.
hey, and then hopefully if it is, he'll say, hey, I'm Jerry Reynolds.
No.
Well, I tried to rationalize it in this way: that the fact he didn't recognize me or know anything about was, if you're really doing good at your job, you're like the referees; you just blend in.
Oh.
And so
Okay.
the game itself was the focus,
Oh,
as
I-
opposed to the
I
announcement.
thought you meant him as a grocery clerk was really good at his job. He wasn't paying attention to you.
You know, he was quite good.
I love to see a guy who's good at his job, yeah.
A few other flaws I noticed.
Yeah, I tell you what.
Didn't point him out, I hope.
Yeah, Sheena drives her crazy when she comes home. She goes, oh, they don't know what they're doing. They put the eggs and then they put the cans on top of the eggs.
that is
and she's like,
rookie.
let me do it. Drives her crazy.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
didn't do anything like that, right?
No.
Yeah,
no,
that's great.
no,
Yeah,
no,
that's
he's a
great.
very
Well-
solid performer in that area.
Nice.
Yeah. Just
nice.
the memory's not what maybe you think it would be.
Well, you know, other
Recognition.
Than, other
Yeah, the
than,
recognition factor.
Other than hurting an old man's feelings, you know. I mean, I didn't really break down and cry until I got to the car.
Yeah.
You know, and just like, oh my God,
Well,
it's
he-
over.
He probably, on some level, there's no way that the Jerry Reynolds
No.
is right here, right now. So
Yeah.
it couldn't
And
be
you
Jerry.
downplay
Yeah.
it a lot. You don't
Yeah.
go out there, with your big personality. You kind of downplay
That's
it when you're in
true.
public because
That's
you've
true.
run across that
Well,
mob scene before,
Well,
so you
yeah,
don't want to do that.
but I did think, maybe carrying the cardboard Jerry with me would
Do you keep in the cart, in the shopping cart when you're going around the
I
store?
carry it with
Do you
me.
mix them up, or which one is your go-to?
Well, I've just got one left now, so
Oh, okay.
that's
Yeah.
a go-to. I just,
Yeah.
I don't know if that means anything.
And you still didn't make the connection, huh? It was right there.
Well, kept
Well, yeah, maybe.
pulling up, you know.
Holding it in front of your face.
Yeah, get that out of the way. I'm talking to somebody.
I'm talking to the guy behind you.
So I was looking up something about the Kings today, just checking the schedule, which I know you have in front of you. And, you go on Google, and other questions that people have asked about the Kings come up.
Okay.
So I'm just Googling something about the Kings, and I swear one of the questions that came up on Google was, what happened to the Sacramento Kings? Now, that is a pretty good
That's
question.
a really
right?
good question. And it's
Is
an
it
evergreen,
not?
too, because it could have
Yeah.
been in there for 7 years.
It probably
or
has
16
been.
years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Jer, can you tip us off here? You got a defensive-minded coach. That's not really working so far. 0-3. So, what happened to the Sacramento Kings?
Well, they've played, as it turns out, 3 pretty good teams.
Yes.
Number one, I mean, certainly you didn't expect the Portland Trailblazers to be one of them, but they appeared to be.
4-0.
I was certainly wrong about them, how bad they looked in the preseason. And I thought, with Chauncey Billups, he might be on the way out mid-season after.
Doesn't look that way right now.
It does not.
Still-
It looks
still
like
could
he's
change.
going to be coach of the year, and they're going to be and I think they are a pretty good team. Just I've watched them not just a Kings game, but Anthony Simmons is or
he's
Simons
big,
as
big
we
game last night.
we
yeah.
talked about, and certainly picking up Grant,
Yeah,
Grant,
absolutely.
And they beat that pesky Laker team on Sunday.
Oh, that team's tough. They'll fight you to the end. Those guys.
and I watched that game in there again. I hate to say that, boy, the joy that game gave me.
It's got to be just pouring out of you as you watch.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, they outscored like 11-1 down the stretch.
And you're just cackling.
Oh my God!
Mrs. Reynolds ever get mad at you for cackling too loud when they're doing that?
No, she's given up on that. But anyway, yeah, you talk about gagging. I mean, those guys couldn't. I mean, poor Russell Westbrook. He had an open shot he kind of had to take, and you knew he wasn't going to make
like a
it.
16-footer, and he's got that weird sort of.
Yeah,
I don't really want to do this.
Kind of
but-
jerks it up there, and
Yeah.
then of course LeBron. The game's a little harder for him. The shots he gets when the defense gets tighter aren't really automatic takes to the basket or anything. There's like a long, tough fadeaway. But like I say, they found a way to lose, and that's very important. They always say find a way to win.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are saying, well, the Kings have found a way to lose for a lot of. Yes, they
Yes,
have.
they have.
Not arguing that, but we're talking about the Lakers.
Yeah. Got to make your free throws, right?
Got to make your
Mr.
free
Basketball?
throws, yeah. And I mean, we talk about the Lakers not making their threes. At least the last game, the Kings fell prey to the same thing. I think with 11 for 43, something like
Why'd
that.
they shoot 43?
And, well, that's what we say about the Lakers. Why'd they shoot as many? They're 10 for 40. Why they shoot 40? Well, the Kings, as we have said many times, are a better shooting team now. So they probably were missing their shots early. And they go, well, those guys said we're a better shooting team now. And you got Herder and these guys. They're going to keep shooting a three. It doesn't matter. That's what they do. And they just kind of died by the three last game.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams do. I mean, I really do think that is one of those things where if for some reason every team's got to shoot 43s regardless. Well, I only hit 12 today. Well, maybe that's a good clue.
There was a time when you correct me if I'm wrong. 40. There was a time a few years ago if somebody shot 40, it'd be like, oh my goodness, what happened? And now it's like, we shot 40.
In other words, good shooting teams might shoot 40, but now everybody shoots 40.
Yeah.
The Warriors could shoot 40. That's okay.
Yeah.
Steph changed the entire game. That's why he's so monumental figure. I mean, he changed the entire game.
He
because,
did.
like you said, 10 years ago, if you shoot 40, they'd be going, well, I don't know. We got to take a serious look at this. Now, if you don't shoot 40, it's like, well, we got to get more shots up. What are we doing?
Well, you just think back, 10 years ago or so that Charles Barkley, and I Charles is wrong on a lot, just like we are, or I am. But a jump shooting team can't win the championship.
Oh, yeah.
And when he said it, it was actually probably
Absolutely.
pretty true. Well, now it's pretty much if you can't shoot threes, you're not going to win a championship.
Yeah, because nobody could shoot them
Yeah.
then, so that's why he says that. But now everybody does.
He said that right up to the Warriors' first championship, all
Yeah.
the way through that 2015, the playoffs. Like, they can't win because you can't win that way.
Well, you got to stick with your bit.
No
You
one
got a
had
bit
done it
like
before
yeah.
that. But, as far as the Kings go, here's my issue with the Kings, and we've talked about this. To me, it's just basketball basics. If you're going to play at pace, you're going to push the pace, and you can't guard anybody, it's a recipe for failure. And they continue to do that. And I'd love to watch the game with you guys sometime because I was watching the Kings game against the Warriors and watch it over and over. I'd rewind and go, what happened there? They gave up a layup. I mean, they're giving up layups off of makes. Like, what's going on? And there's obviously a lot of different things. It's individuals not being able to stop the ball. It's guys not rotating correctly and players not, getting lost in rotations. But they're just flat out a bad defensive team right now. And that's why I'm somewhat pessimistic. It's a great point you make, Jer. Hey, they're 0-3. They played three good teams. But I don't think Fox is a very good defender. I think he can be. He's not right now. And I think Sabonis is a really willing defender, but he really struggles guarding some quicker guys.
Oh, no question. Well, I think I've always said with Sabonis, if you're counting on him to be your rim protector, that's not going to work. I mean, but it's also true. You could almost say that about Looney too.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come up much.
Right.
Because
right.
their perimeter defenders are
They've
so much.
done the job before the ball even gets there.
Yeah, they keep it from getting there. But the Kings almost encourage it to get there.
And they don't have that kind of personnel to encourage it to get there.
I think they I don't know why they don't. I mean, it's like just Kevin Herter was a good defender in Atlanta. Now,
it's 3,000 miles, but you still should be able to do the basic things.
Yeah, and
Davion Mitchell certainly.
Davion Mitchell, and I mean, like I say, I just think they should be able to do much of the same things physically that the Warriors do. I mean, you're not talking about great athletes on
Sure.
the Warriors either, really.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about guys really in line. And, of course, offensively, I've always said one of the things that helps their defense, and I think it gets missed, they're so damn good offensively that, like they were in the first half. Well, I don't care what you're doing. They're making every shot.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're taking the ball out of bounds and they're playing you 5-on-5.
Mhm.
Well, every team is better 5-on-5.
Mhm.
Well, most teams are missing a lot of shots, and it's transition. And so I always say that, I think they're a good defensive team, but I think they're a great offensive team, and they always have been as long as Mr. Curry can lace them up.
Curry, yeah.
Where is your Kings Fun Cup, half empty, half full? Right
Well,
now?
I think
Oh,
part of the
0-3
problem
is 0-3.
Yeah,
Which
but
record said
part
you
of the
are?
problem is that I don't know. I guess everybody, the PR machine was working overtime.
The what
Coming in-
machine?
The PR machine,
PR machine.
was working overtime coming into the season because Mike Brown came in, and we are rededicating ourselves to defense, and that is our focus. We're going to have a defensive camp, and I think people expected big time results right away coming out of the start of the season. And when you have somebody drop 89 on you and a half, your tendency is to say, well, this isn't actually what we signed up for. Where we want this 16-year drought to end, and it's going to end because we're going to play better defense because now we have a defensive coach and we have better players and they are going to focus on defense. And I just would like to see a little bit better start to the season when that seems to have been the focus.
Hey, 88 was the old record, right, for most points in a half.
88.
Right? Do you know who was the coach?
Yeah, I do. It wasn't me.
It was. He was.
Dick Motta.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It was 91?
92, I think.
92. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
He knew it wasn't him. I will say.
I knew it wasn't me. I don't think I don't think ever gave up 70 and a half. I don't think. I remember several 65, 68s, that sort of thing. But
When you coached, the game was generally played at a slower pace?
Yeah.
I mean, not always, obviously.
yeah, it was. I mean, having said that, there were teams that scored more points than, the Nuggets of that time.
Yeah, that's right.
We're scoring more probably than anybody's scoring now.
Yeah.
And so there was, exceptions to every rule, of course. Then you had, teams like the Pistons where, if they get 85, they're probably going to win.
Whole game, yeah. Yeah. Well, nice to see those Nuggets be able to throw the three in there occasionally. If they had 3-point shooters the way teams have now and the way they played, that's 160 a game.
Yeah, I mean, really, it was amazing how, Doug Moe just kind of let them play like today's game without shooting 43s. But they'd come down and shoot it quick, and and they had guys that could make
Was
it
that
quick.
Kiki and
Well, Kiki was I think on
Fat
that team.
Lever.
Fat Lever, Michael Adams.
was that the
Dan
Issel?
Issel,
Yeah.
Alex
Yeah.
English.
Alex English.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Could
guys that
fill it
could
up a
score.
bit, yeah.
And then when they traded, even when they traded Kiki, they got Calvin Nat, who was really good, probably better than Kiki, differently.
Yeah, a different kind of player.
So what's the path forward for the Kings?
I think. First of all,
Sorry.
look at the schedule.
I just
see
stopped
who you're
the show
playing.
there. My
Look at the
apologies.
schedule. Well, you can't do anything different. You're not going to change anything. You can try
Okay.
to do everything you're doing. Well, I mean, you came at me right there.
No,
you tried to
I'm
do
just
everything.
throwing it out there.
You try to do everything you were supposed to. Well, that's basically it. You try to do things that you're supposed to do. You do what you say. You stop people from getting to the rim. You do that. You play your defense better on the perimeter. You do what you were supposed to do starting the season, but you played 3 tough teams and you haven't really executed, I can say, very well. So you just kind of say, we've got the right plan. We just have to execute it.
Well, the other thing is, to me, quit messing around. Start Keegan Murray. Quit goofing.
That's going to happen.
Come on.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
He's one of your very best players. Figure out who your best players are. Get them on the damn floor. And Keegan Murray's one of them. I'd start right there. And
That's almost too obvious. You're right, but it's almost like what we've seen that in the past when you have a really talented team, like the Lakers had all those great stars. They start Rambis with them, okay, or the Sixers,
He
great
played a
Sixers,
role.
They start Ivoroni,
Ivoroni, yeah.
But this team isn't that good that you can start KZ Okpala.
I would hope. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
KZ could come on.
Nothing
Yeah,
against
but
him,
it's
but you know
only
what I
3.
mean?
It's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
3 games.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
he
can
can.
get him in
It's
now.
not the OZ or KZ.
Yeah,
or
nothing against
I
him.
mean, I think
OZ is a
I think
tremendous name. I love
think
that.
I think he can play defense. We've seen that, but I don't know that. It just doesn't make any sense. He's a spot guy. Put him in there. In spots to maybe guard somebody that's killing you, or you think can maybe slow somebody down.
Yeah.
And so, but I would get Keegan Murray out there. I think probably I would look at maybe moving Harrison Barnes to the bench as an off the bench behind 3 and 4 maybe. 2 spots. It's Herder. I'd put Herder and probably maybe Monk as a starter or Davis, Terrence Davis.
Yeah,
I might go with Davis right now, and just take, because I was looking at the personal efficiency ratings and shooting efficiency ratings the other day, and right there, okay, there's your 5 guys. Well, if they're your most efficient and the shooting efficiencies,
I didn't realize Monk was rating that highly right now.
No, he isn't.
Yeah, okay.
No, he's the one I would say that's why I'd put Terrence on just on 3 games he's been better. The only reason you play Monk is because we signed him and we want to see if he and Fox could play together, that sort of thing. But no, on deserved, or the fact that you'd like to have a better bench, Davis to come in with Barnes type thing, that sort of thing. And I think you could rationalize that. Another more efficient score, especially if you thought you had to play KZ a little bit.
OZ, sure.
OZ,
play
KZ,
yeah.
OT.
Are you rearranging deck chairs now, or is this something
Whoa.
a way forward?
Well, I mean, you might be. You might be.
Well, I mean, you got to ask. It's 3
no,
whole games
it's
into the season.
Wait, time out, if I may, 20. We were all just talking on this before you answered. Didn't mean to interrupt, but we were just talking a few weeks ago. King's going to be better. I don't know how much better. It's going to be better. And now we're talking about, oh my goodness, are we rearranging?
Well,
deck
I
chairs
mean, I'm
on
just
the
throwing that.
Titanic?
I'm just throwing that out there.
What
I'm just
what-
saying.
what
okay,
happened to
I'm
the
asking-
Kings?
I'm asking the expert. Okay, what happened to the Kings? They lost 3 games. What happens to fans when your team loses 3 games? You start going down with the ship.
but
For 16 years, we've hit an iceberg.
But to your point, and which is a good point, is like, are you rearranging? Well, if you do that and it doesn't make any difference, that's what you've done.
Okay, so then you know.
But then
Right.
again, it might actually, and I think there is a reason to believe that it might actually make you better if you get your best players on the floor.
Well, interesting. You must have coached in the league a little bit.
Done this
Well, pretty
professionally.
good.
Well, I know.
Oh, I didn't know.
When you didn't have enough best players, but I honestly think you can put an actual
Well, that's the
starting
thing,
5
sure,
out
yeah.
there with
Yeah.
a couple of reserves, and like I say, I'm maybe overly optimistic here, but I think Keegan Murray is really good. I mean, he's a shot maker.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think where I really have a problem with Coach Brown, the only one is, hey, Domantas Sabonis is a high post center. Now, in what era or world did you think he's a low post back to the basket player?
That has been, you've been on that for a while now.
And I mean, to me, if you do that, now all of a sudden, if you played Herder and Davis and Fox and Keegan Murray, first of all, you got the opportunity to get Herder more shots, Keegan Murray more shots, maybe less shots for some others, since they are shot makers.
It would address the spacing.
And it also maybe addressed, as terrific as Fox has played, he has really turned it over too much.
Yep.
And so let him be the scorer. I mean, he's going to score, and I think he's going to score productively, but get out of his hands. Don't make him work so hard.
Mm-hmm. I don't care what that guy at Tahoe at the grocery store says. He knows what he's talking
The
about.
guy at the grocery store didn't know who he was, so he wasn't saying he didn't know. He was just a Kings fan. Okay, he thought he'd found a fellow Kings fan.
Oh, it hurt me, though, man. It really hurt me.
You know what else is hurting the Kings, in addition to all that, is the fact that, I know it's painfully early here, but you look at some of the teams that we thought the Kings were going to be better than, and Jerry was talking about this earlier, and you look at, obviously, Portland and Utah and San Antonio. Like, oh, my goodness, what's going on? They're supposed to be tanking.
Yeah, Utah and San Antonio weren't supposed to be with the Kings. They were supposed to be on the bottom with Oklahoma City, who, thank God, they are on the bottom.
Yeah.
But SGA hasn't been there for a while, but Utah and San Antonio, you guys are tanking. Didn't you get the memo? You're not supposed to be trying. What's wrong with you? And then New Orleans looks so good. I mean, I know they lost to Utah, but, man, they are so impressive. Portland was supposed to be with the Kings. The only thing that's good is the Lakers were supposed to be fighting for that play-in, too.
That is the
They
only
seem
thing.
to be accommodating right now, Jared.
That
But
is the only.
It's scary.
Only thing. I mean, it's like, San Antonio went into Minnesota. I watched it and just slapped the crap out of them. made the big T-Wolves whine and run off. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
they
it
were
was-
really. I was reading something this morning. They were their coach is just ready to disown all of them. He
Yeah.
was really upset.
And they beat Philly too,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Spurs?
Philly?
Yeah.
Everybody beats Philly.
Yeah.
They're 1-3.
Well, they finally won. They beat,
Oh,
beat the Pacers. 'Cause
Oh,
the
yeah.
Pacers are kind of like the Kingies, but they've won a game at least.
won a game.
But I mean, there are some
football.
good teams that it's like Miami Heat have struggled coming out of the gate. The Sixers obviously have struggled
Yeah.
coming out of the gate.
But they have a game.
But you kind of know certain things will take care of
Yeah.
themselves.
Right.
Sixers
Yeah.
seem to have played some pretty good teams starting.
Yeah,
out, too.
yeah,
Like
I-
Milwaukee, I think the first game.
Yeah,
Boston.
I think they're going to be fine.
I
you
heard
know.
somebody making the point that if you take a team like Portland, and we'll see how good they are, but if it was January or something, they won 4 in a row, people wouldn't notice. But when you win your first 4, whoa! So we'll see
Yeah.
how that all.
When you were supposed to
Yeah.
be in the bottom, people
Yeah.
had already given. Well, Dame is hurt;
Yeah.
he'll never be back. And I don't know who these other guys are. They got nothing going on, and all of a sudden they just explode on you.
Yeah, Utah. The thing about Utah, I know we were talking about this earlier, Jerry. They don't look like they're a contender, but looking at that roster, I don't look at that bunch and say, "Ooh, they're tanking." Danny Ainge is. I know he learned everything he knows about building a team
Yeah.
from you,
Right.
But that they've got competitive players on that team.
Well, they got some young guys that you can keep around. I mean, if in fact they continue, which I think they are on a rebuilding thing.
It's almost like the best of
Yeah.
both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, with Laurie Marketing, I mean, I think he's kind of found his niche finally. I mean, it's almost a 7-foot stretch forward.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
almost and so it's taken him a while. But I mean, Kelly Olynyk has always been a good role player. Now he's gotten a little bigger role, which I don't know how that's going to be. And of course Clarkson is terrific. Jordan Clarkson, that's the one, every week the Lakers are going to get somebody else.
Yeah.
The Lakers are going to get this guy. He's going to get the.
You enjoy that, don't you?
Oh, I
That-
do,
The
'cause-
indecision that they're showing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too
yeah,
bad.
and I was thinking, Danny, that makes sense for Danny to trade Clarkson to get Russ Westbrook. I just don't know why he wouldn't jump on that.
Yeah, usually you don't see a guy go for a jump shot and the defenders run away. Usually you don't see that, and I think with Westbrook, that's what's going on right now.
Oh yeah, he's
Giving them a little space, aren't they?
Yeah, a little
well.
space.
See,
yeah.
like I said, it's going from an earlier thing. Definitely the Greg Kite rule in effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Russ is going to be
Yeah.
open.
Usually you give somebody that much space, you're going to break up with them. That's
Phantom,
usually what happens.
did you see Jordan Clarkson last season? I think it was last season when the Jazz announced they were going to let people back into the building, and so there was a news story on a Salt Lake TV station, and this reporter, I forget her name, but she's talking to people like the man on the street, the woman on the street, pardon me. She's talking to people. What do you think? Do you go to a lot of games? And she ends up interviewing, and she doesn't know it's Jordan Clarkson. Did you see that?
No.
And he's like,
No,
I
didn't.
think it's great. Yeah, I like to have fans in there. And she goes, do you go to a lot of the games?
That happens all the time, though. I mean, that stuff with basketball players and
And
executives.
he says,
yeah,
I was at every one last year. And then it comes out who it is, and she's like, I'm so sorry.
I was at everyone with a
Yeah.
great answer.
Yeah.
I was at all of them last
He
year.
handled it really well.
Yeah.
Yes, I was at every game last year. Yeah.
Well, it's like there was a thing on the Dream Team years ago, and basically, I guess people were seeing some of the guys, all crowd going this way, and there was John Stockton, watching everybody just running by John. Didn't know,
Yeah.
couldn't have picked him out of a lineup. You know,
Yeah.
but
A normal-sized guy, yeah.
Where are we with De'Aaron Fox? Is like he's putting up big numbers? Is it like, yeah, not his fault. They got to build around him. Or is there something, could he be doing more to help them actually win games? You mentioned he's turning the ball over. Are we talking empty calories? Or are we talking, look, there's not his fault. He doesn't have the pieces around him. Does he need to be integrated better? Why is he playing so well? The team continues to lose.
I think they have to do what Jerry's been saying they have to do, which is get him off the ball and make him
Mike
he's a
Brown's been
scorer,
talking about
make him
that.
a scorer. I think
Yeah.
that's what they have to do. Once they do that, if they're successful in doing that, then we'll see what happens. But I think that's the main thing as far as he's concerned. Obviously, you can't turn the ball over 8 times in a game, but as far as he's concerned, I think they have to do. It's not really his fault. They just have to set it up a different way so that he's off the ball.
yeah, to me, that's it. I mean, right now, he's shooting, I think, 58% from 2, 48 from 3. I mean, the guy's shooting the ball terrific. I think he could average 25 on 18 shots very comfortably if he doesn't have to try to go create his shot in the half court as much as he's forced to do right now. Because in the open court, he's still going to be, he's still going to run it right through people.
Right. He's still De'Aaron Fox. Yeah,
he's still De'Aaron Fox, and so he's going to get a lot of easy baskets, and where the defenders are going to give him 15-footers, not because they want him to shoot, because they're scared of him getting to the basket.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, I think that would help. I think he's honestly, and I've criticized him the last few years a lot, but he's the least of their problems now in my mind. I mean, I think it's just a matter of the way he's shooting the ball, utilizing him a little better.
Yeah.
Making it easier on him.
Yeah, and then in that Kings-Warriors game, we got a window into the biggest issue the Warriors are having right now. And of course, they're still, celebrating their championship. But their bench, they're looking for answers with their bench. And as you mentioned on the way over, Steph was out of the game, and he thought, okay, I'm done, and they had to bring him back in.
Right.
The Warrior bench was terrible in their loss against Denver. So that the starters are, it's clicking, but they're still looking for answers here with that bunch of, Wiseman. Looks like he's playing well, but they're not playing well when he's on the floor as a team. Kuminga's not contributing. They're looking for answers with that bench and trying to find the right combinations.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work very well. I mean, how they're doing it, I don't know what the problem is necessarily or how they can solve it. I mean, I like all of the players. It's one of those things where I like the group better than the results kind of thing. It just doesn't fit very well. I mean, I do think if they just had a guy that they could put out there that could just go make play or was a real playmaker. And I think they'd like for Dante to be that. I'm not convinced that he is or ever was, but I mean
he got hurt a lot, but he wasn't playing well before he got hurt.
Right. I mean, I think they need that to make it happen because those other guys are kind of looking for their own game a little bit. And the other thing with the Warriors, the only thing I'd worry about at this stage, and it's probably a small worry, Klay Thompson is not Klay Thompson. He
hasn't been.
Did you hear
for a
about
while,
his?
yeah.
Did you hear about his off season? Why he didn't work out more?
Mm-mm.
He apparently has like a mental block about scrimmaging, like during the summer pickup, because that's how he got hurt. And he's like, I don't want to do it. So now his conditioning is a little behind where they hoped it would be, and they're being very careful because it was just so traumatic for him, and he did not want to do that. So he's a little behind. Even, last year it looked like, okay, he's ramped up, he's ready to go.
Right.
This year, boom, and he's not. He's behind because of that mental block about he didn't want to scrimmage.
Yeah, I can sort of understand that. I mean, and the Warriors are lucky. It's like, well, he doesn't have to be Klay right now. 20 games in, they're going to want to see a different version, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they will, but that's probably the only kind of negative right now, other than the bench.
Yeah, he's kind of fumble fingers right now.
Fumble fingers. Yeah, well, I mean, that's where they count on those other guys to fill in until he becomes Klay, and I think it's important. Some of the guys they lost over the summer, some of the more role players, not the bigger names like Toscano Anderson.
Yalitza.
Yeah, and those guys. Some of those guys were
Otto Porter,
in the
fourth quarter Porter.
In the sense of the team game, they were more valuable than the guys who we got a lot of potential and everything, but they don't fit the roles as well as those guys did. I think they suffer from that.
I think if Iguodala was anywhere near able to play, he could help kind of stabilize the second unit, but I don't know if he's going to be able to play at all this year.
Well, and I guess that'd be my next thing is if that's the case, why?
I don't know.
That's a great question. Why? Why?
Marty.
Marty.
And they really wanted him to come back. And it sounds
here.
like he really didn't want to come back.
Yeah, go get somebody who can. And, of course, they do miss Gary Payton. I mean, I think just a high-energy, tough-minded guy who doesn't need the ball to be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
That's those kind of guys are hard to find. So, but I mean, why are we worrying about the Warriors? I mean, the reality is there's 4 or 5 teams good enough to win the championship, and they're one of them.
They're one of them,
and it depends on how they develop, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kings are trying to be one of those 4 or 5 teams in the third tier of 4 or 5 teams. We're ready to move on to the next tier of 4 or 5 teams, which they're not yet.
No, which they're not.
We want to get out of the bottom 4 or 5 teams.
They've been very disappointing. There's no doubt. I mean, I'm probably more optimistic than some just because I do think they're more talented and better than they've been for a while. But that doesn't mean squat till you win games.
Right.
And so that's what we're waiting for. I mean, I would not be surprised if they play the first 10, 12 games and are still under 500. I expect that. But I mean, I just don't think they're going to be a 25, 28 win team. I think they're just too good for that.
What do you think so far? I know it's too early to know a lot of this, but what are they? the Kings right now, if you were to tell someone, well, we know what they're trying to do, but based on these 3 games, what is this team about? What's their, for lack of a better term, what's their identity?
Well,
Unknown.
I'd say unknown. Yeah.
Searching.
What should it be? What kind of they're trying to be up tempo, high scoring, gritty defensive team? I don't. What are they even trying?
Well, they
to
have to be a
gritty
high, really an up tempo team. I mean, there's no way they could be a grinded out team in my mind. So, so they're going to have to play up tempo and hope they can score enough. And I think offensively, that's probably not their problem. Their problem still is defensively on a consistent basis. I mean, when you give up, a Kings, all-time record and a half, I mean, you can't just, I don't care what you say happened after that. It still happened, and I mean, so it's got to be defense, and it's not just half-court defense. I think the transition defense to me has probably been as concerning as in the past. I mean, in other words, if you score the basket, you really should not be getting beat down the floor.
I don't think so. No,
Mr. Basketball.
No,
I mean,
even back when I was in church league, we really
Yes.
stressed that. You God bless it. You'd
They
say
have
get
to-
back.
They have to go out of bounds to throw the ball
No,
in.
you don't
So-
have to. You don't have to go with them. No, you can go on down the other end if you want. Right?
Yes, you can.
Oh man, what a great rule that is.
As you may know, I never coached at a level anywhere near as high as you did. But
We
when
do
I
know
did
that.
coach, that was the one thing that I couldn't tolerate. It's not that hard to run back after you score and play defense. And you see that it's inexcusable if you don't do that. And I've seen not just the Kings, I've even seen the Warriors in that game against Denver. Teams are giving up layups off of makes. And Steve Kerr was looking like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So maybe some of that, it's early in the season.
Early in the
I don't
season.
know, but that's so preventable.
Well, I've always said, this goes back to whenever, but of course I grew up when coaches said it a little different.
They couched it differently.
Couched it different.
Sure, yeah.
It's-
A little stronger, maybe.
It was sprint back.
Yeah.
Sprint back, and then you can rest once you're there.
Yeah.
Not run, which of course the players say, well, I'm running. Yeah, but you're not really sprinting. You are a nice pace is what you're doing. And so that's the problem. So I think that's like anything, in any sport, it's a no. Full tilt. Run your little lazy butt back, sprint full speed, and if you're back there, you're ahead of the offense, and you got 5-10 seconds. You
There
can
you
take
go. Then take a break.
take a break,
little breather.
suck in some air. There you go.
I know you said a few weeks ago, Mr. Basketball, you were anxious to see what happens with the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes,
you wanted
I
to
am.
see, I think you guys decided, well, we got to wait about 20 games, so it hasn't been 20 games yet. But what do you make of this team last night? Lost a shootout. Great game last night to the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, Memphis is a very good team.
Four guys
obviously.
in that game
We're gonna
scoring
see 'em.
35 or more for the first time in NBA history.
Well, I mean, it's still too early for me to say what's going to go on with Ben Simmons. I had not been really impressed with the first games. I did not check out the box score for last night's game, so I'm not up to date on that. I had a lot of water polo I had to take care of, as you know.
you did.
As you know. But so I'm still in the wait and see mode. It's the wait and see mode of the Kings. I mean, you talk about looking for an identity. There's 3 games in. They're still looking. Their identity was stolen 16 years ago. They haven't got it back yet, so they're still looking for it. But as far as the Nets are concerned, I'm still in a wait-and-see mode. I haven't made my decisions yet. I'm still waiting to see Ben in action. 20 games, 25 games, 30 games.
Ben Simmons fell down on a weird play last night. One of those balls rolling and Jaws letting it go.
Oh, I hate those
when is he
plays.
going to pick it up? And then he
Isn't
picks
it?
it up, and Ben Simmons fouled him and fouled out of the game. Yeah, fouled out of the game.
That's very funny.
One thing
the way
about
you describe
Memphis.
that.
Yeah, Memphis, we know what their identity is.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. And it's very early. How many times are we going to say that? 38 from Bain last night, and Ja had, 30?
38, I think.
Yeah.
38 from Bain. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Those guys just all of a sudden just sprung up as a fully formed team a little while ago, and they came out of nowhere. It seemed like, and Ja's a highlight guy, and then all of a sudden he's got this solid team behind him, and when he doesn't play, they're
that's
like 20-4 without him or something like
Yeah.
that with Dylan Brooks and these guys, and you just go, I don't know where they came from. Can we get somebody like that?
Well, no,
it's like a
that's-
Chia Pet team. It just grows up.
It does. It takes time. Over the years,
Yes.
you've seen that team grow, and that's my issue with the Kings. And it's every year. It's like, let's just patch this thing up, and maybe
Yes.
we'll be like the Timberwolves last year, and we'll be a playoff team. And so it's just taking things out, patching things in, instead of building something, which I know
Yeah.
takes time. And to your point, it's almost too late to do that now. After 16 years, you
But
can
they
start
were-
that now. But that's the way
Yeah.
you do it, especially as a small market team.
That's
and
the
the
way
way
you-
they're doing it does not work.
Well, the only way it works is if you happen to get that genius player, that once every decade player. I mean, you know, if the Kings get
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama, then people
Yeah.
say, "Well, they did it right."
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
okay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that would be the result, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't be nothing would be different. It's like the trust the process stuff. Well, they finally got good, but not because of that. They finally got rid of after 5 years of 15-win seasons and wasted picks and everything else. They said, well, we need to actually make trades, get free agents like a regular team.
Yeah, that process
with
Yeah, yeah.
the two guys that we got over 5 years out of tanking, and see if we can do something. And I mean, the Kings, in my mind, they've got some nice young pieces. I mean, really. Let's just say, okay, if they're not heading anywhere before middle of the year, well, to me, Barnes and Holmes, you've got to make a move, and just go ahead and fill the gaps with what you get there, and because I believe Herter's a player. I certainly believe Fox is a player. I know Sabonis has proven to be a player. Keegan Murray, I can't.
You love the guy, yeah.
I love the guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's reasons. You have things there.
Did you? I'm not sure I heard you say this. Maybe I'm just hoping you said it. Did you say that if this thing is not going well, that by the time you get to the deadline, tanking the second half is still on the table?
Well,
I didn't say tanking.
I didn't
That's
say
what I meant.
tanking.
I know,
Not
I
say
know.
tanking.
I know.
He
I'm
said
just-
take these extra parts and see what you
I don't
can
think
get
there's
for
anything
them.
wrong with tanking.
I don't know why you're
So just
coming
so
at
you
him
know.
about tanking.
I'm not accusing anyone
Oh,
of
my
anything.
gosh.
For the Lakers, if
My
the
God,
Lakers,
I don't know what he's
I'm
saying.
asking it
Yeah.
like the Lakers.
Yeah.
Can you see if the Lakers?
I
are
hope
this
Adam
bad?
Silver's not watching this.
Well, you know he is.
Oh, I know
I
he
mean,
is.
Stone says he's subscribed.
Yeah.
Don't if you were the Lakers and this thing continued to unravel, wouldn't you? If you got to the deadline, would you say, "Hey, Wembanyama, let's get into
Well,
No,
but
LeBron's 100 years old. He can't wait.
the problem with that is for the Lakers is they won't have to. It'll be
It'll be done for him
There'll be
by the other teams in the league.
be rules like back in the 50s and 60s regional draft, and they'll say,
Okay.
well, Wembanyama actually,
Yeah.
if he wasn't in France, he would be in the L.A. area.
I
Well,
see.
They'll bring him over and
So
put him
you're
in
saying the-
Sierra Canyon High School for a semester.
You're saying
Yeah.
Adam Silver
Call
and
him a-
company, yeah, we'll take care
a
of
territorial
the Lakers.
draft choice.
Or
Yeah.
his,
all right.
Yeah.
or whoever gets number one, San Antonio or somebody, he'll say, "No, I'm not playing for you. You're going to have to
Yeah.
stay in France
my
and play,
rights, yeah.
Yeah.
play for
Yeah.
10 years." And,
Do you are you of the mind? And it's just just us talking. Do you think that whole thing about Stern reaching into the envelope and
Stern?
finding the Knicks so they get
It was
Ewing,
cold, cold envelope to
Do you
get
think
you
the
in?
league had a hand in that at all?
wouldn't surprise me. How's that?
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Okay, that's a definitive answer.
After Game 6 of some years ago,
I remember
Let's
that.
just pull the lid out of everything. Let's
Yeah.
do everything. Okay, all
But
the
here's the
conspiracies.
only good thing about that is it's like, okay, even if they did it, they didn't get the best player. Karl Malone went
okay.
13.
Right.
He's
Yeah,
better
so
than-
everybody missed
he
on
was-
Karl Malone at
he-
the end anyway.
Yeah, he was better than Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
So there.
All right. So King, we're not tanking this year.
No,
Kings
I
are
guess
tanking this
not.
year.
But when you talked about getting the generational players, the way sometimes you change that. So did the Kings, and I rip open the old wound. So 4 years ago, did the Kings miss a chance to speed the process up when they took the wrong guy at number 2?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you trot out Luka Doncic with this current
There you go.
current group, and would you win more? Sure. Are you a championship team? Of course not. But
It'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah. Would
But,
you make
but
the
there'd be
playoffs?
there'd be no complaints.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't
yeah.
have a 16-year drought then.
And quite honestly, had you could speed it up if instead of taking Ben McLemore, you'd have got Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think
You're right.
I could be wrong. I think that would even have.
but that wasn't seemingly as much of a slam dunk as the other one.
No,
was.
then that's the
Giannis
problem. There-
changed a little
as-
bit between the
as-
draft and when he played.
Yeah, there's always guys. I mean, Jokic was 41
Yeah.
for God's sake. So
He's so good.
so good. But I mean, so you almost those are
Sure.
outliers, and everybody screwed up. But as you pointed out wisely, Mr. Basketball, Luka was not a stretch.
No, No, he was not a stretch. We had a little film on him. We could see what was going to happen.
Yeah, been the best player in Europe for 2 years in a league that's way better than
The G League or
the ACC.
college, yeah.
Better than the ACC. We're pretty sure of that.
Well, I'm pretty sure of it.
You know who else is pretty good out of that draft to win much later for obvious reasons? Michael Porter Jr., right?
Oh, yeah.
He's a good player. I know the Kings were talking to him during that draft
I had him ranked on my board at number 2, and then the week of right before the draft, he got another back injury.
Another back
spine
injury.
fell out.
All
or
of a
whatever.
sudden, you had to go
put
pick it up, and they put it, and they did it. They
So I understand why they
inverted his
did it,
spine, so it was different. Yeah. So he was. I mean, talent-wise, that guy was amazing, but you just couldn't count on him.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, and that's still the you got to worry about that.
Exactly.
I mean, if he can stay healthy, yeah, he can be a major star, I think.
And really helped that team.
But
Man.
I mean, the buts and the ifs are there. you
Yeah.
know, so yeah. I mean, I think every year there's always some outliers in the draft, that, or you look back some years, like several years ago, DeJounte Murray was taken late in the first round. Well, he's passed up a lot of guys that went in front of him, but that's always the way it is, and it'll be that way in this draft too. I think Mathurin from Arizona with the Pacers, I mean, other than, he's probably right there with Keegan and Jabari.
He's had some great nights already.
Banchero. I mean, I think he's right, almost in that same bracket. I think.
You mentioned the Hawks. I know we probably don't have a ton of Hawks fans viewing.
You never know, though.
I know you're well connected with the Hawks. They got to be a little disappointed with this start. Right?
I guess a little. I mean, were they 2-1? 2-2?
I'd have to double check.
Yeah. So I don't think it's
okay.
I think they'll be
All right.
okay right now. Early on.
Tough
Early.
loss for them last night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't they lose a bad game last night?
I mean, but
Okay,
they're.
all right.
I think they're. They probably still would. They say we got as good a chance as anybody in top 4.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics had a heck of a beat down last night by the Bulls.
Yeah.
After half jumped out to a big start,
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the game and then turned away, went back to it, and the score was upside down. It's like what? Wait a minute, this can't be right. The Bulls can't be just.
NBA, Jerry, it happens.
It does
Don't worry
happen.
about it. Yeah,
It does,
you'll get used to it. Yeah.
So the Hawks are 2-1. Yeah, I withdraw the comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay, you're
You were
withdrawing.
right to disregard that question, by the way.
That's very well done.
Jerry said,
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's a
They
very
did
good
have a
question.
bad loss,
That's a
but,
clown question, bro. That's what he said,
Yeah.
basically.
All right. Old-fashioned three. All the best players from A to Z. It's time to wrap it up with our alphabetical players of the week. And each week we talk about a player representing a particular letter. We're G this week,
We're on
right?
G, I hope.
G, yeah, and it's not necessarily the best player. It's a player, maybe it is the best player. Maybe it's a player we remember for whatever reason. Best player, worst player, did something, great story. So we're at the letter G. Yeah. Do you want to start, Mr. Basketball?
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
all about the high flyers and stuff like that, the entertaining players. And G gives us one of the greatest of all time. College most outstanding player 1980, the Final Four. His Louisville team wins the championship. He played with a couple of guys who later became Kings at that time and went on to Utah, played there 6 years and had great stats for 6 years, had a foot injury, missed a season, and then kind of tailed off. But Darrell Griffith is my guy.
Darrell Griffith.
Dr. Duncan Stein.
Yeah.
I thought you were never going to say who it was.
Well, I was doing what we call the build-up in the business.
Man.
Maybe you go back to the Hawks record. And so I was
2-1,
I mean,
like I said.
he's a fantastic player, and he was a high flyer, like 48-inch vertical, incredible. And then he goes to Utah, and of course they don't allow you to dunk in Utah, so he never did. But still, a great player, 20 points a game for 6 years. Got a foot injury, and then by the time he came back from the injury, kind of Stockton Malone had kind of taken over that team by then, so he didn't really have a place. Plus, he wasn't as good. But man, I loved watching him in college and loved watching him as a pro. Darrell Griffith is my
Did he
G.
play with, to me, one of the most underrated G guys? He's not my guy, but did he play with Ricky Green in Utah? Ricky Green?
Yeah, I think
Ricky
he
Green
did.
was
I
really
think,
good.
yeah.
At Louisville, he
Yeah,
played
I
with
guess, I guess you guys know that Ricky Green played at Vincent Junior College, right?
I actually did
I
not
guess
know
we,
that.
I guess we did. Yeah.
I apologize. I didn't
or
know
or
that.
you didn't realize Sean Marion played there either, did you?
Well,
Sean
now,
Marion did
you're
not.
just throwing it on us now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I knew Foots Walker and
Foots
Bob
Walker,
McAdoo.
Yeah, I
Bob
knew that.
McAdoo, and let's see, Roy Simpson and Oscar Evans. They all played in the NBA briefly.
Okay.
So Darrell Griffith is my guy.
Yeah, I think
all right.
Nesby played for the Clippers for a while. Played at Vincent's.
Yes, I remember him.
Yeah.
Martin?
Martin, no,
No, that's Martin. That's Les Nestle.
No,
That's a
there's a
different guy.
Nesby. Yeah, Nesby,
Okay.
6'8",
All right.
great.
Yeah, he
for
played
it.
at Louisville. He played with Rodney McRae, your guy.
Yeah,
and
Rodney,
and also
Rodney and Scooter McRae.
and Derek Smith as well.
Yeah.
who became a king a
Yeah.
little bit too late, but became a king after he torched us on opening night.
Sure
back
liked
in 80s.
Rodney.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
My
Sure
G
like
guy-
Rodney a
I
lot.
got you, Derek. Thanks. Loud and clear, buddy.
My G guy is part of the answer to a really good trivia question, and he's probably the hardest. I think it's a 6-part. So let me ask you the question. And see
Oh, and
how
I
you
did a
guys
lot
do.
of build-up.
Okay. There's no build-up. It's
Okay,
just,
yeah, so-
I'm getting right to the meat of it.
Yeah.
Do you know the father-son combos who've won rings in NBA history? I think there's 6. How many of them can you name?
Berries.
The Berries. Yeah, that was Rick and Brent.
One of the, and Rick and one of the other berries.
It wasn't Scooter.
Yeah, okay,
Scooter's a
yeah.
great guy, but it wasn't
Yeah.
him. Yeah, you got, of course, Clay and Michael.
Oh, the Thompsons,
you got,
of course.
You got Steph and
Steph and Dell.
Yeah, Arlo, I don't know.
I don't think Dell
didn't
won
win
one.
one.
No,
Okay.
I don't think he
All
did.
right, you got. Let's see. You got Gary Payton.
Oh, GP and
senior-
GP2.
You got the Waltons.
Oh,
Well, now
And you got
Gary.
one more.
Oh yeah, he's on the Lakers. He got a ring
Yeah.
with.
Yes,
He,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
snuck it in there on you, Jer.
And the
Yeah.
other one is
A
my guy.
G.
Yes. And his
Huh.
father had the same name as he had. It's Matt,
Well, I mean,
Matt Gukas Jr. and Sr.
Matt Gukas.
Yeah, and he's my G guy. Matt Gukas and Matt Gukas Sr. must have won in, I don't know, 40s or something. And
Yeah.
Matty Gukas won, I think, with that Sixer team.
He was on the
that great
Sixer team,
Sixers
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I mention him because he was a pretty prominent NBA figure. Now, he's like, who's that? But he's part of the answer to that question. He also was a coach of Orlando for a while.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He
yeah,
was
Matty-
I remember
NBC's
that, yeah.
during the heyday, the Michael Jordan era around there. He was like the top analyst on NBC.
Yeah,
Matty
no, he
Gukas.
sure was. That's
Yeah,
right.
so kind of a forgotten guy, but for a
Yeah.
while he
Yes.
was very prominent. Matt Gukas Jr. is my G guy.
Yeah, it's a good
GJ.
one. Yeah,
Thank
I bet Matt could go to the Tahoe grocery store. Nobody know who he is. But
You're right.
I got a feeling he could go to his own house and they wouldn't recognize him.
how quick they forget, Whitey.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Matt Gukas.
I guess I should have gone George Gervin. Sorry about that. I don't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about that too, but I mean, George was so great, and the Iceman, and a lot of young people forgotten. But my guy actually is Eric Gordon.
Oh, I love Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon still
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
Was Mr. Basketball in Indiana. Just really it looked like when he came in the league was sure stardom.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, and kind of a Mitch Richmond type
Yeah. Mhm.
player. The body just powered through guys
Mm-hmm.
and knee injuries and all that. Now he's still playing, but pretty much a perimeter spot shooter.
Good shooter, right?
Yeah, great
yeah,
shooter.
yeah, really good shooter. And so Eric Gordon, he was the 7th pick of the Clippers, I think, at that time coming out. And I always remember me and Grant were doing a preseason game in Stockton, and Gordon just torched us. It's
Yeah.
like one of those things, and both of us like, holy cow, this guy's can't miss major star. Well, he did miss, not primarily because of
Yeah.
injuries that
Injuries, yeah.
happened
Yeah.
early and often. I
Yeah.
think he had injuries right in his rookie year, and then but really
Long career.
stardom was kind of there. He played in an AAU team with Mike Conley and that 7-footer from Ogden or Odin.
Greg Oden?
Greg
Greg
Oden. I've
Oden.
heard of Greg Oden.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Greg Oden,
That's a
Mike
pretty good ball
Conley,
club.
and Eric. Yeah, they were an AAU
That's
team.
well, that's
I
not
think
bad.
they were the
Whoa.
best AAU team that
Yeah.
year. That's
I
pretty
think
good
they,
AAU.
They
team.
might have been pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that's when Odin was actually healthy.
Yeah, we
and
thought he was gonna be
considered
fantastic.
the best high school player in the nation at that time.
Mr. Basketball, anything as we get ready to say? Thanks for watching and so long. Anything you're looking forward to this week about the NBA? What you're
This
looking
week
ahead to?
about the NBA?
Yeah.
I want to see the Kings get off. I mean, it's going to be tough on Thursday, but this Kings-Memphis game, I'm really looking forward to that because I like watching Memphis. But I think the Kings, I don't like to go out on a limb a lot. I think the Kings come up with their first W on Thursday.
What are you drinking?
Put that down. Write that down. I think that's going to happen.
Okay. You think
it's
Memphis just
'cause
takes it
it's
too
so
lightly? Or?
It's so. I think they missed their flight. No, I just. I'm going out on a limb. I'm prognosticating a little bit, and I think the Kings are going to come back. I think they're going to use these 3 days of practice. They're going to get some things figured out. I would not be surprised if Mr. Reynolds' idea from Mr. Fox is implemented in this game or started to, and I think that the changes as well with
Okay.
Keegan Murray, I think, is going to come out, and I'm going to go ahead and ride that wave.
I think Ja goes for 50, but I don't know. What do you
They
think?
could
Jared?
both could happen.
Yeah.
Both things could be true.
Could be true.
Ja could go for 50, and the Kings get a win.
Yeah.
Ja won't get 50, Kings will get a win.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I
I love this man right here.
me and Mr. Basketball, we know these days to practice. Mike Brown knows he's got to
Yes,
make some changes.
exactly.
There are changes that clearly are easy to spot because
We saw him.
we
yeah.
saw it, and,
Some
and
people-
even
yeah.
Whitey
Oh,
mentioned it.
yeah.
All right.
So
yeah.
so
even Whitey
even
saw-
Whitey saw it.
Yeah, we're actually back on a couple days, right? You guys
Yeah,
ready to go
yeah.
Thursday?
I'll be
Yeah.
mentally ready.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm
So-
75-80%. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I won't be as, you know.
Yeah, that was a good answer to the question. I know you had no idea.
I have no idea what you're talking
Nice one.
about. Yeah.
Well, I know one thing. I'm going to go to the grocery store today, and somebody better say,
Just
recognize
keep
it.
going to grocery stores.
Well, it's in
Jared.
Roseville, see,
Yeah.
so I might have to go to like 4 or 5 of them. You
Can
know,
we
just
get
keep.
Stones to wire you up, and so you have a camera with you as you go into the?
Yeah. Any turkey update on?
Have not spotted the turkeys in a couple of days, and I know Mrs. Reynolds is. You know, she had said that because she watched the show and we'd made some disparaging remarks. I think you did. That's the way I
I'm in her
took it.
corner.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
And-
how
and
I
she
took
did
it, Jerry.
express to me that you know, if you say one more word about those streamers, you're going to find them in your man cave, and so
Well, that'd be nice.
so
Then you wouldn't have any turkeys in
I
there.
want to see her
so
come
yeah, I
over.
say that turkeys won't come in there, and
There's already a turkey in there.
She's actually
Huh?
using advanced turkey analytics to keep.
She
it
really
this way,
is.
and it's working.
ATA.
It's
Yeah.
working.
would that be domestic violence? You think? You know, I mean.
Oh wow. Hey.
You know, threats like that. I mean, because I was kind of traumatized about it. You know.
Well, you were traumatized in the grocery store too. So I mean,
Yeah, so it's been a rough
your-
week for me.
Your level's a little
I'm-
bit low right now.
I might not make Thursday. I don't know. I might
Fingers
just be,
crossed.
Might have to do Wednesday.
Subscribe if you're watching on
Yes.
YouTube. Yes. Thanks for
Subscribe.
watching the Old Fashioned 3. See you in a couple days.
Thank you for joining the Old Fashioned 3 on Stones Radio Networks. To stay updated on the show, like and subscribe on YouTube, and all shows are available for download on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and of course at stonesradionetworks.com. Follow the show and the gents on Twitter at OL, Fashioned, and the number 3, at Phantom Radio 60, and at Whitey Gleason. This has been a production of Stones Radio Networks.